quiet your mind. Ever since the Earth has circled the Sun, there have been fantastic tales of wonder and mystery that the fate of heart dare not discuss. But three brave, uninformed souls have the brass to tackle every extraordinary happenstance, from the modern age to the dawn of Mantis.
Welcome back to Dawn of Mantis. True crimes, mysteries, and more. I'm Ivan with Joe and Sam. How are you fellas doing tonight?
Doing good.
Doing well, thank you.
Hey, we're on a series, another series, and this is, you're saying, Joe, you're saying it's getting darker, right?
It's getting darker.
It's getting darker. It's getting darker before, it's getting worse before it gets better?
It doesn't get better.
Oh, no, it never does get better.
It gets better.
Quick reminders before we get into this thing. We're just a few subscribers away before we can start going live on YouTube. So even if you don't listen to us or watch us on YouTube, you should go in there, give us a sub really fast, because when we get to a certain number, we get to put this thing live, and maybe you could watch it early, like the night we film it live.
Yeah.
Before anything's edited out, before any tantrums, guitar throwing, anything like that. That hasn't happened yet, but it always could.
It always could. Why wouldn't you want to see that?
Exactly.
What is wrong with you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, get on YouTube, find us, Dawn of Mantis Podcast, easy to find. Give us a sub, 4174 Mantis. That's our hotline. You can call or text. Let us know how we're doing. Suggestions for episodes, any of that good stuff. Your favorite celebrity impression. I still want that. I ask for it sometimes.
We haven't.
I still want somebody, Christopher Walken or something. I want someone. Come on, somebody's got to have one. Joe, what do you got?
Oh, is it my turn to talk?
Yeah, it's your turn to talk. I felt like I was talking way too much.
Oh, no. Thanks, everyone, for coming back and visiting once again the Dawn of Mantis Podcast. We really appreciate it. Like Ivan said, we are in the midst of a series. We're in part 3. I think I'm going to call it A New Hunting Ground. Does that sound good?
Ooh.
Because the venue does change a little bit for the Phantom Killer in this episode.
Chilling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope that rings a little bit true with everybody. Yeah. So we're in the midst. This is an open-ended series. Normally, when we start one of these series, I know exactly what's going on and how much time is left and how many episodes are left. This one, there's at least going to be 5, could be 6, who knows? Because, man, there's just a lot going on.
It's like Game of Thrones. It's still being written as we're filming.
Yeah, which is weird. When we did Buddy Holly, I had 1 through 8 all done, and I knew exactly what was going on, and all those other long series. But this one, who knows? Let's have some fun with it.
Yeah, it's gonna be a 17-parter
for the next 3 months.
Yeah,
this is what you got. I hope you like it.
Yeah. All right, Joe, where did we leave off?
Well, some people got beat up, and I think some people died.
Yep.
Yeah. Part 1, some people got beat up, right? And then part 2, he ramps it up a little bit. And 2 couples, there was 2 double murders, if you remember. Oh, and thank you for reminding me. I don't know how you did, but for those on YouTube, we're going to flash another picture right now, and it's going to be of Paul Martin and Betty Jo Booker, okay? They were one of the couples that was murdered on the last episode.
Okay.
There was something I wanted to say about that, and I don't know if anyone noticed or not when they saw those pictures on the YouTubes, is the photograph of Paul Martin that they used is when he's like 13 or 12.
Oh, okay.
And the photograph that they use of Betty Jo Booker, for some reason, she just looks older. So if I just saw that in the newspaper, I would be like, oh, look, a middle-aged mother and her young son were murdered, right?
Okay.
I wouldn't think like, oh, this teenage couple that went out and parked to have sex was murdered. So I just want to say, Paul Martin was not a prepubescent youngin'.
Yeah.
Whenever, like, he wasn't still, riding in his wagon and shooting the Red Ryder BB gun or whatever. He was a 17, right? I think he was 17 or almost 17, something like that. Year old boy.
Well, I mean, I get it. It's back before we took 17 photos a week
of
ourselves.
Right.
So, I mean, they just didn't have as many. So,
yeah,
it's fine.
He is a little child in the pictures. And you're right. Go back and watch the last episode on YouTube. You'll see that. And it's just funny. I meant to mention it on the last episode because when I saw the picture, like when you go back in time and you see all those pictures in the newspapers, it's Betty Jo Booker, Paul Martin, and they do not look They do not look like they should be in the same car together.
Yeah. It's fine, though. We have the smartest listeners. So somebody saw that. It's like, oh, they put a picture when he's younger. That's nice. Nice touch, Donna Mantis.
Okay.
That's what they were thinking. We
I
have
hope
the
so.
best listeners ever.
Okay. You kind of went, Donald, we have the best listeners ever.
Well, I mid-sentence. I can't do any impressions, but I kind of mid-sentence said that. What we do?
We have good people. We have the best people, the best listeners ever. I don't care who says what.
Oh, we're losing. We're losing them. No, it's fine. Take them or leave them.
All right. So you guys ready to get into part 3?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's do this. By mid-April of 1946, 2 double murders had occurred within 3 weeks of each other in Texarkana. Considering the city's rough history and familiarity with violence, it had a rather blasé attitude towards the occasional murder. But 4 murders in 21 days? The hell you say?
Yeah.
That's a little much.
Yeah.
Even for Texarkana. And not murders of thugs, gangsters, or criminals, but of innocent couples parked on lovers' lanes just trying to get it in. You know what I mean? So yeah. Mark this episode, Sam. Just right off the bat, you know. Anyways.
Let's get it in.
Even that was Marvin Gaye's first version.
Oh, it was, yeah.
Let's get it in. And then his producer was like, let's tone it down a little, Marvin. Let's get it on. All right, we'll do let's get it on. Even worse, one of the couples, Paul Martin and Betty Jo Booker, they were 16 and 15 years old.
Okay.
So that answers what I just said. He was 2 weeks from 17 or something. Paul Martin was very close. But anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this was different. It was heinous, random, heartless. And it felt like anyone could be next. If you can't even park on a dirt road and have sex with your woman, we ain't living in America. I don't want to be here anymore.
Doesn't sound free to me.
I thought this was the land of the free.
Hey, you picked the right accent this time. You didn't go like upper Midwest. Very good.
Did redneck.
Yeah, good.
Thank God.
You didn't do like a JFK impression.
I thought this was the land of the free. Anyways, that was terrible.
No, that's not bad on the spot, on the fly.
Needless to say, the horny teenagers of Texarkana started taking cold showers and avoiding the back roads. Every gun and every gun store around town was sold out. People who never locked their doors a single time before, they began doing so. Several clubs and bars began to close early, and the ones that didn't had their employees escort the ladies out to their cars after dark. Everybody was scared.
Mm-hmm.
The Paramount Theater canceled their midnight movie showing. Streets and neighborhoods that used to chatter with the sound of kids playing fell eerily silent. People were scared and desperate. The reward for information leading to the conviction of the killer was increased to $6,424, which is, in today's puny-ass, pathetic, can't live on it at all money. You know how much?
I don't know.
$6,425. How much would that be today?
That is
This was in 1940, what, 6? Yeah.
22,000.
$100 motherfucking $1,000. No,
Okay,
that's ridiculous.
or Samuel L. on the plane.
It's so ridiculous.
Totally.
My God.
Totes. I'm going to say totes.
I know it was 40.
That's for our young listeners.
I know it was a while back, but Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Really, it's like, well, you know, my dad used to always tell me, my granddad used to always say, you know, when I was a teenager, I could take a girl out, we could go to a picture, and I could take her and get a cheeseburger and a Coke. I could take her on a full date for like $3.
Yeah.
You know, and now it's like $300. My daughter and I went to Subway, not to disparage Subway in any way today, but she got a foot long and some chips.
They're not $5 anymore, are
No,
they?
hell no, they're not. And a pop.
$15 foot long.
I got a 6-inch sandwich and a pop and sandwich. You know how much it was?
How much?
$33.20.
Oh my goodness.
What in the hell is going on in America today?
Yeah.
$33 freaking dollars?
Yeah.
$33? Are you kidding me for that? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. I mean, even fast food is as expensive as like a nicer restaurant now.
It's ridiculous.
It's just all expensive.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
we're just trying to eat at home as much as possible. Yep. So we're trying, except for the weekends. It's like, I'm tired of cooking all week.
That's what we did.
Yeah.
We're going to be good. And then the weekend gets here and we're like, is that Asian food truck still open? And then you end up spending $60 there, you know, for 2 of you, 3 of
Yeah.
you. Anywho's. I've been working myself. Bullshit pay, or however that goes. Working all day. Overtime hours. Bullshit pay.
I still don't recognize this song.
It's the
Is it a
Oliver
new
Anthony
country
one.
song?
No, it's like number one on.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't singing it correctly, but
Yeah, I mean, that guy's cool and all, but I mean, it's not like my jam.
It's
but
truth.
I do like where he's coming from.
He speaks truth to power, Ivan.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true.
That's why he's the songbird of a generation now.
I mean, I get that, but I already knew all that stuff.
Yeah, we did. Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, it's cool. It's cool that it's blasted out there, right?
Yeah, sure. Well, it's cool that the number one song is that on iTunes.
That's neat. Well, yeah, new country is crap anyway. So
new country is, but
so that's actually good new country.
Yeah. Normally the new song on iTunes is like, I like the way your butt cheeks clap together by Jingle Jangle featuring Little Pitty Ditty or some shit that I don't know what the hell is going on. I'm like, what the hell are these names of honestly real people? Is this real shit? What is happening here? So it's cool that it's just some ginger dude out in the woods playing his dobro.
Hey, I like Pitty Ditty. I've always have.
A Little Pitty Ditty is who it was.
Oh, Lil L-I. Lil Pitty Ditty.
Little Piddle Ditty. You changed.
Oh, I changed it. I made it better.
Tom Albritton, this was the friend who Paul Martin had been staying with the weekend he was murdered. That guy said that when he and his friends did go out, which was rare, but when they did, they took out their guns and they stayed together in a group. Everybody was scared. And nobody went out and parked in cars anymore.
Nice.
Forget that.
That's might be a good thing.
Teen pregnancy in Texarkana went straight down.
Yep.
Anyways, that is... The only people who did go out and park were police officers.
Oh, okay.
The Texarkana police, both Texas and Arkansas, as well as Sheriff Presley, they were working the case 24/7 by that point. They even sent officers out in civilian cars to park on lovers' lanes to try to bait the phantom out of the darkness, which is what we just talked about.
It's all liar movie line. It was kind of, I'm going to coin this term. It was sort of a town that dreaded sundown.
It was as if they dreaded sundown.
Up with that.
The whole town.
The whole town did.
It was as if they dreaded sundown. You should trademark that or something.
Should.
That has a ring to it. They even placed female-looking mannequins in the passenger seat or another officer who would wear a wig to appear female, like I said. And like Ivan said, it never worked. Hundreds of leads were chased down to a dead end. Dozens of people were questioned.
I mean, one obvious thing is that the mannequin is like in the seat like that. I mean, I've never seen a mannequin that could sit in a chair.
No.
I mean, hopefully they took the torso and just had the torso in the seat sitting on an encyclopedia or something.
This is coming from two guys that used to own a mannequin and would drive around with that mannequin in the back of Ivan's Jeep.
I didn't know it, but we were trying to catch a killer at that time.
We were.
Actually, we weren't, but we could have been.
Karen the mannequin.
Yep, Karen. Old dog ear.
Old dog ear. Oof, I won't go into why she was called that. Anyway, all that work and they were no closer to solving the murders than they'd been on day one.
Yep.
But then, in that moment, Texarkana got exactly what it desperately wanted and needed, a hero. I need a hero! Someone to take me
Kevin Bacon?
Hey!
Was he born yet? No.
And he was dancing in an abandoned factory by a Volkswagen. Is it Footloose that we're talking about? Yeah, I got
totally.
it. Okay.
Yeah. But the hero scene wasn't the tractor. Wasn't it the...
Is it when his shoelace got stuck on the pedal of the tractor when they were doing the chicken and he almost died or something?
Is that the definition of a hero?
I don't know. Was it that scene?
Maybe. I don't know. Footloose is one of those movies, if you describe the plot, it sounds like crap. You got to watch it. Don't ever be like, hey, I want you to try this movie. Oh, tell me about it. Well, what have we talked about on the podcast before?
We have.
It feels like deja vu. Well, it's about these people that want to dance.
Oh, then what happens, Ivan?
I don't want to spoil it.
There's this preacher in town what don't want them to dance.
Yeah. I started telling... That's perfect. And that is the conflict.
That's just like Forrest Gump. If the bus would have showed up on time, there's no movie.
Oh, my goodness.
Because right?
You're right.
Because he tells the whole story while waiting on the bus. The bus shows up on time. There's no movie.
That's true.
Is that why ZZ Top wrote that song?
It might be.
This is good podcasting tonight, y'all.
It's fodder. It's great fodder.
This podcast is brought to you by Canada Dry Ginger Ale, which is what is in this cup.
It's good stuff.
But yeah, they got a hero. A hero showed up.
Oh, okay. Tell me about this hero. I don't know
Texarkana.
anything about this.
Oh, this guy's going to be so much fun.
Oh, excellent.
That hero arrived in the form of Texas Ranger Captain Manuel Lone Wolf Gonzaullas.
I've heard of this guy. Maybe.
You probably have. He's kind of a legend, bro.
Okay.
Not even joking.
You got my attention. You call me bro. I don't think you ever called me.
Why'd
that
I
before.
call you bro? That's gross.
Go on.
That's gross as shit. Why'd I say?
Nothing
I don't
wrong
say
with bro.
I don't
bro?
say bro. I tried it on.
At least you didn't say bra.
Brah. He's a legend, brah. Wait till he lived up to what you'd think a Texas Ranger should look like. He wore polished cowboy boots, sharply creased trousers, and a bullet belt with a pearl-handled, gold and silver-plated pistol on each hip.
Wow.
Dude. Bro. He had a chiseled face interrupted by piercing green eyes and topped everything off with one accessory no self-respecting cowboy ever leaves home without: a white Stetson cowboy hat.
Oh, I thought you were going to say spurs.
And spurs. And assless
But he
chaps.
drove a car.
And he drove a car. His interior was wrecked, but he still wore spurs.
Final
He drove a
seat.
Mustang 20 years before it existed, 18. By that time, Lone Wolf drove into town. He was 55, but he had been a Texas Ranger for nearly 20 years, and he had one hell of a reputation as a hard-working, ass-kicking, name-taking lawman who had killed no less than 75 men in the line of duty.
Confirmed?
No. Well, that's what the rumor was.
Okay. So it's a confirmed rumor.
He would tell you it was more like 25.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was being honest.
Oh,
I
there we
guess.
go.
He'd only 25 people he'd
Yeah,
killed.
only 25. I don't get out of bed for anyone that's killed more than 30 men.
He'd supposedly been in countless shootouts, knife fights, and brawls, and had come out clean every time. From what I read, pretty much all of the hype around Lone Wolf was true.
Oh, I bet it was. It probably was. I mean, where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah, no, the guy really was a badass.
Yeah.
For what it's worth. A genuine, hardcore, tough as nails Texas Ranger badass.
Yeah.
There was a Chuck Norris movie called Lone Wolf McQuade.
There was.
Oh, I don't think I've ever seen it.
This
That's
guy
good.
didn't. This guy didn't drive a Dodge. Oh my God, what was it? It was so badass. Remember, it had like superpowers. It had like
It did.
a million
It did.
horsepower.
Yeah. It had like a nitrous on it or something.
You would hear it go
Yeah.
wee when it took off.
Yeah, spool up.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not shitting you.
Had
my
like
friend.
Ram Jet Air. Or
It was a
whatever.
Ram.
Yeah.
It was a Dodge Ram. Thank you, sir.
Mhm.
Oh, I was guessing the Ram Air thing.
Well,
you know,
that too, but
yeah.
it was a Dodge Ram wagon.
There's two kinds of Ram.
Yeah, that's right.
Lone Wolf McQuade. God, what a
Mhm.
good
That's
movie.
a good movie.
Oh, man. That sounds
You
cool.
can check it out, Ivan.
But not only did Lone Wolf live the part, he knew how to play it up for the reporters and newspapers as well. He loved the camera, loved to give interviews, and ate up the attention.
Doesn't sound like a lone wolf, though.
Not really.
It's like a wolf that likes others.
Well, we'll find out why he has that name here in a minute.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's why he says he has that name.
Okay. Sorry.
J.Q. Mahaffey, John Quincy. I bet that's what that stood for. He was the editor for the local Texarkana paper. He said, and I quote, "Lone Wolf Gonzaullas was the best looking man I ever saw in my life." I'm not joking. That's
No,
what he said.
it's good.
Okay.
Keep going.
He made me feel things. No, I'm just joking. That was me. He made
I
me
knew we were
feel
gonna
things
do that.
about myself I didn't know possible. It turns into anyway. He sent the girl reporters back to the office with stars in their eyes. That's what he said. When asked how he'd gotten his nickname, okay, Lone Wolf replied, "Well, I hear Sam Elliott for some reason. I guess it's because I went into a lot of fights by myself and came out by myself too." God damn, what a cool thing to say. You know, no wonder he was a badass. How'd you get that name, Lone Wolf? That's a cool way to describe it. I went in by myself and I came out by myself too. You know, the girl reporters were just like, like that. You know that? And probably some of the guy reporters. Don't you think?
Women want to be him, men want to be with him. So they always said about old lone wolf. It's like, sorry, I'm a lone wolf. No one can be with me.
He makes me reevaluate everything about my sexuality, that lone wolf. All right. The investigation into the Phantom Killer was getting a lot of attention, and Lone Wolf was the perfect, well-spoken, charismatic guy to become the public face of the investigation. So Sheriff Presley was a good lawman too, but he wasn't out to get in the papers and all that bullshit. You know, he was just kind of like, have Officer Splashback do it. You know, have that guy.
Yeah.
I don't want to be involved.
Well, he's got to be a heck of an investigator. He's got 2 guns.
He's got 2 guns. That's true.
He should put a magnifying glass in one of his holsters. Looking for clues like Thelma. Jinkies.
Jinkies. You just say Jinkies, Lone Wolf? What the hell, man?
You're my hero. Stop saying Jinkies. That ain't what a lone wolf would do.
You made me question my sexuality, and then you say Jinkies? Also, in a case that had previously seemed hopeless as far as the public was concerned, Lone Wolf conjured a wave of optimism when he declared to an adoring flock of reporters, this is what he said, ready? I will not leave Texarkana until the Phantom Killer is captured.
Man, he's still there.
He died there, man.
I don't want to complain. Do we always have to call him Lone Wolf? I'm already bored with it.
We can call him Manuel if you want to.
I don't know. It just seems like, I don't know. It's fine. And you know what? I love it. Keep going. You be you. It's in your notes. Read them how you wrote.
It's kind of like on Step Brothers. Like you can call me Dragon. You know he came up with that himself, Lone Wolf.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. No sooner had Lone Wolf Manuel Gonzaullas there.
No, you be you. I don't want to mess. You're spending all that time on the notes. I'm not messing with you. Keep going. Lone Wolf it up, man.
We'll just say Gonzaullas.
No, it's cool.
We know who he is. No sooner had Gonzaullas made his proclamation than the first viable suspect finally appeared. Obviously, he was eventually cleared of any involvement, and maybe it's because of that I couldn't find his name, so let's call him George.
Okay.
He was unnamed in like all of the notes or all of the research that I did. So George was a black male, about 35 years of age. He had a spotless record, and everyone around town liked this guy.
Okay.
It was hard for anyone to believe he was capable of murder, but there was some physical evidence that looked pretty damning.
Uh-oh.
Yes. George had been seen near the area close to the time of the murders, and the plaster molds of the tire tracks found at the scene matched the tires on his car.
Wow.
Not looking good.
No.
He flatly denied any involvement and asked to take a polygraph test. He requested a polygraph test. He was granted one. He failed it. Bombed it.
Oh, well, that's not good.
He asked, let me do it again.
Yeah.
He did. He failed that one too.
Oh.
Then he said, let me do it again. And he failed a third one.
Golly. It's not your driving test. It's not your driver's license.
SpongeBob. Mrs. Puff is taking her 25th driving lesson.
I know somebody took it 5 times. I'm like, how long does it take you to figure out how far you park away from a railroad track?
They took it 5 times.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
You know what? This is no lie and not an exaggeration. I made a 100 on my written test and a 98 on my driving.
That's nice.
And do you know why?
I don't know. You went too fast.
No. Do you know why I did so well?
No, I was wondering about the 2 points. I mean,
I never understood that. I think the
okay.
guy was like, well, we can't have him be perfect.
Why did you do so well?
I did so well. Well, I talked about it on one of maybe the last episode or the one before, because I'd had that girlfriend that
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, you had
my pot
motivation.
at the end of the rainbow was vagina. That's why I did so well. I studied so hard. We know that. Just listen to the last 1 or 2 episodes, and we all know what happened the minute I got my driver's license.
So
anyway.
No, that's I mean, hey, you had the motivation. That's good. That's what everyone needs for anything is a motivation, a reason. Like that's why people do poorly on a lot of things until they're like, what's the why? Oh, that's the why. Okay, I'm going to give it my all.
I'm going to give it my all
That's
now.
right. It doesn't have to always be that.
It doesn't have to always be sexual intercourse. No, it shouldn't be every time. But sometimes it will make you study harder.
Yeah.
No pun intended. So listen, the main question this guy kept bombing, he didn't bomb every question on all 3 polygraphs. There was a couple main ones, okay?
Are you a murderer?
It wasn't that.
Oh, okay.
It was this. They would say, were those your tire tracks at Spring Lake Park that night? And he would say, no. And then, of course, that would show up as, not the truth. But even then, Sheriff Presley had his doubts that the man was the Phantom. He had a pretty good reputation. What?
Oh, I just remembered something.
What?
Wasn't there a pretty strong theory that there were 2 people at one point?
There's a theory that there could have been more than one person. Yeah.
Okay, keep going. Because I was thinking he could have been the other guy. So, I mean, I was there, but I didn't do it.
Oh, that type.
Maybe it was the driver.
Yeah, driver.
Since the tires match.
Yep, exactly.
Oh.
I do remember reading something or hearing something one time.
Okay.
Might have been. Of course, it's been in my mind forever, so I've probably heard everything about this at some point.
Yeah.
But it's just rumor mill. Never heard about Lone Wolf, though.
Yeah, Lone Wolf Gonzaullas, not McQuaid.
It's like bank robbing. Like, you got the guys that go inside, and then you got the wheelman.
Yeah, I'm the wolf.
So he was a wheelman.
Yeah. Well, the general consensus is about the Phantom Killer is that he was a lone wolf. He was the only guy.
Hey, no.
Yeah. It was Lone Wolf. Holy shit. It's like, no. But still. So Sheriff Presley is like, I don't think it's George. Even though the tire tracks match, this guy's got a good reputation. He just didn't strike me as a murderer. Presley had psychologist Travis Elliott interview George. And afterwards, Elliott said, quote, I'm telling you, you got the wrong man. He has no criminal tendencies. And let's remember, this is 1946 in Arkansas. Not very long before Willie Vincent, or I don't remember his exact name, but he was, some lady was accosted and all she remembered was the guy was black. So they just found any black guy and they killed him. So I do want to give them credit for even when there was certain evidence pointing towards it, Presley and these other guys now were like, I just don't feel like it's George. This was still in an environment and in an area where they very could have easily just wanted to close the case. Let's say it's George. If it's a racist type thing, he's a black man. We put him away forever and we're done. But they didn't want to do that. So anyway, I'm just giving them kudos for being humans, I guess.
Yeah,
exactly. Not being horrible people.
I mean, on the other side, I don't love the fact that it's like he doesn't have a record, so he didn't do it. I mean, obviously, we know that that's, not true.
Yeah, Dennis Rader didn't have a record either.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Ted Bundy
he was
didn't have a
actually,
record first.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. But if they didn't have any other evidence other than the polygraph thing.
Yeah.
And the tire tracks, I mean, they could have had a sale on that tire. Could be a pretty popular tire.
True.
Tire tracks are really kind of you got to have a lot more else to go along with that, I think.
Everybody runs Goodyears around here. Everybody knows that. Everybody's got Goodyear ATVs, man.
Yep, that's right.
Everybody around here. So Travis Elliott was a skilled hypnotist. So Sheriff Presley asked if he would hypnotize George as a final method to really rule him out. All right. So Sheriff Presley's like, I just don't feel like this is our guy. Under hypnosis, George finally revealed what had really happened that night and why he had been lying.
Okay.
He had driven down the road where Paul Martin was found right before the murders. That was his tire tracks.
Oh, he didn't want to put himself there.
No, because he'd been having an affair with a married woman out near Spring Lake Park. So what they would do was George would drive up kind of close, take the back roads, park a ways from the house, and the sign that it was safe for him to go in was when the porch light went on, the back porch light of this house. When this lady's husband went out, turned the porch light on, George was going to come in and give me a little sugar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was their deal. So he was there, but it was for reasons that he didn't want to reveal. So they let him off. They cleared him and released him.
Seems like not a solid way to signal. I mean, what if the husband's like, oh, I'm going to turn on the porch light and go out and play with the dog for a minute or something?
Yeah. Dude, what if he turns the porch light on? I'm going to turn the porch light on myself before I go to work tonight. But first I'm going to make my lunch for, later. And then George walks in and he's like, who's ready for some dick or whatever, you know? And the guy's still there. The guy's still there. He's like, can I help you, sir? Oh my goodness. There has been a misunderstanding, you know? And he...
Is your name Richard, sir? Well, I could backpedal out of that.
So anyway, I don't know if that's how anyone...
No, it's Bob. Okay, Robert.
We should have called him Dick. His name was Dick, not George. Let's call him Dick. The guy's theoretical name was Dick.
It could be any Tom, Dick, and Harry, though.
Oh, God. I love you guys. You guys are good sports. Thank you for hanging in on this.
Ditto, Demi Moore.
Then the second good suspect was found 450 miles away in Corpus Christi, Texas.
Oh, why'd he run?
That was a little ways, wasn't it? What are you doing over there?
Yep.
A man we'll call Frank. Well, no, wait. What do you guys want to call him?
Oh, Frank's great. What you got? Yeah, I like Frank.
No.
Just not Richard.
We're going to call him Dick. Can we call him Dick? I'm changing it. A man we'll call
Richard.
Dick walked into a music store on April 20th.
Okay.
Over in Corpus Christi. He asked the girl working if she wanted to buy a saxophone.
Wait. Why are we changing their names again? I missed that whole part.
We're not changing it. I couldn't find the names.
Oh, did you say that? I'm sorry.
Of George and Dick.
I thought I missed the really deep voice where you're like, the names have been changed to protect the innocent. I thought I missed that whole thing.
In any of the research that I did,
gotcha.
And a big part of this was James Presley's book, Hunting the Phantom Killer or something like that.
So it's like Suspect 1, Suspect 2 probably. So one of those types of things. Okay.
And
sorry.
so you just got to assign them names.
I mean, I was asking in case someone at home was lost.
Not for me.
Not for me. You guys all caught up? I think I'm good.
So the second suspect is Dick, okay?
Okay, Richard.
A man we'll call Dick walked into a music store there on April 20th in Corpus Christi. All right, Richard. He asked the girl working if she wanted to buy a saxophone. Now, why is that pertinent? Let's think back to the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
Betty Jo Booker played
saxophone.
Oh.
I don't ever want to dance again. His guilty feet have got no rhythm. I don't think that was around in 46, but
no, see their version's better, I think.
That's a song that has saxophone in it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So he didn't have it on him. He said, I don't have the saxophone on me, but he described it like, how do you, it's a saxophone. It's silver and it has a lot of buttons and a hole in it.
Well, I mean, there are a lot of different, like you said, silver, brass tint. That's like, did he I'd want to know if he described, because it was an expensive saxophone because she was a great artist.
Yes.
So, I mean, if it was like an upper brand or whatever, the names escape me, the upper ones.
Selmer,
yeah. I think Selmer's a good one.
There's the Kenny G saxophone. That's just like a straight little thing.
Yeah,
it's just
that's a soprano.
Yeah,
sax.
that's right. Nailed it.
So that doesn't have the like the big S curve.
Yeah.
I mean, he could play that one too, but it doesn't do Christmas albums as well.
Oh, it doesn't?
No, I don't know. Kenny G Christmas.
Oh, of course. Yes. I'm sorry. That went right over my head.
No, I'm just saying that was like some of his best selling stuff.
So the guy at the store was like, is it a Kenny G saxophone or is it like the other type?
Who's Kenny G?
He ain't even been born yet, you dumbass.
Who the hell's John F. Kennedy?
So the sax that he described, by the way, just so y'all know, identical to Betty Jo Booker's.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty significant.
Was that your question?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
Yep.
Wow.
The sax had yet to be found, and anyone who knew anything about the case knew the police were looking for that instrument, including the girl working in this music store. So she knew. I mean, this was a story that was everywhere.
One cop had to say, you find that sax, you'll find that killer.
You'll find the killer. Oh, it's so good. David Duchovny. No. What's the guy that was off of NYPD Blue?
Oh, yeah.
David.
The ginger guy.
The ginger guy.
Yeah.
David Caruso?
No, I can see maybe.
Caruso?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see his face.
I could see him say, you find the sax, you find the killer.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. When she told the man, I got to go get my boss for something like that, the guy he didn't freak out. He just took off. He was like, oh, I got to go all of a sudden. So by the time she calls the cops when he takes off, and by the time the cops got there, the guy was long gone. But later he was spotted again at a pawn shop where he was buying a 45 caliber pistol. So I guess she'd given him a description and they were looking for the dude. They found him.
Wow, guns and saxophones. That sounds like our guy.
That is not a good combination.
No, it's not. All right. Here we go.
In fact, Guns N' Roses was almost going to be Guns and Saxes. But Axl Rose was like, let's do Roses instead. No. He did Roses instead. I hate Axl Rose, for anyone who doesn't know about from that impression.
Well, you did him justice.
I think I nailed it.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
That's what he does. That's what you sing between words, right? When you're that's normal.
He's just giving Sam a Joe soundboard. It's like 6 additions to it.
For some reason, millions of people in the 80s heard that and was like, cool.
I was listening to the guitars and bass and drums.
Okay. All right. When he was finally arrested, this guy, no saxophone was found, but he had bloody clothes in his possession, which is not abnormal.
Sounds pretty common.
I know. The last few episodes, everyone has bloody clothes.
Everyone's got. Who doesn't have bloody clothes?
And I'm not trying to be British. Everyone had blood on their clothes. Not bloody.
Not bloody. Everyone's got bloody clothes around here. No, they had blood on them. But back then, they could be like, well, it's red. Well, shit. Everyone has red blood. Throw them away, I guess. Like, they couldn't do anything with it. Frank was... No, not Frank. I changed his name to Dick. Richard was looking like a good suspect at this point. He's got bloody clothes in his possession. He was trying to sell a saxophone. We don't know where the saxophone is, but he was trying to sell one. I bet he's hidden it somewhere. He probably has one. Richard insisted that his clothes had the blood on them because he'd been in a fight.
Okay. You should see the other guy.
You should...
You should see the other victims. I mean, other guy.
He also swore he was nowhere near Texarkana mid-April. Police checked out his alibi, and guess what?
Bad.
No, it held up.
Oh, wow.
It held up. So did the story about the fight. So I guess they called the police department, and they said, oh, yeah, this guy was involved in... Oh, wait, we're in Arkansas. He was involved in a little ruckamaroo down there to spitting whiskey. And, so he had blood on his clothes from the fight. Although he couldn't explain why he'd try to sell a saxophone that now he swore he didn't have. That part was weird. Why'd you try to sell an imaginary saxophone to somebody?
In case I come across one.
Just in case I see one. Other than that, Dick's story checked out. The Rangers returned to Texarkana empty-handed.
A lot of these times I wonder about alibis being checked out. Now it's easier because you got a digital signature and it's like,
just go ask my buddy. He'll tell you where it was.
There's a camera on them and stuff,
Yeah.
But I don't know. Back then, I don't know what would have confirmed it.
You know what?
A punch card? There was a true crime case with a punch card where a guy did punch it and he wasn't ever there. He had his buddy punch it.
You're right, man.
I can't remember where that came from, but it's in my brain.
I can't either, but you know what just dawned on me the other day?
What?
There's cameras probably everywhere in Walmart, right?
Sure.
Like probably on every aisle.
Nowadays, yeah.
Oh, I know what you're going to do. You're going to dress up like someone else and be their alibi so they can...
No, I was just thinking, how many times have you you had a butt itch. So you slipped into an aisle where there was no one else and you got in there, you took care of that butt itch.
Yeah.
But now I'm thinking somebody somewhere in a back room in Walmart saw you do that on that damn camera. That just dawned on me.
If they were looking, yes, they did.
There's probably hours of footage of me just getting in there.
Or crop dusting somebody.
Well, this is like a thermal camera. They can't really tell that.
Well, I mean, they could tell, like, guy walks down the aisle and he has a weird step. And then the next person comes down the aisle and shakes their head and acts like they're going to throw up. I mean, I'm pretty sure somebody trained in the arts of surveillance is like, oh yeah, there's the crop dust. Here, let me go back and check.
There's the crop duster. We found him.
Somebody probably has a crop dust compilation.
And here's the crack digger right here. Oh yeah, he's getting in there. He thinks no one can see him, but we're watching.
At first I thought he was shoplifting, but I've realized nothing went back there other than his pinky finger. I don't know. Yeah. I was just thinking you could false alibi, get somebody that looks like you to go on Walmart. If you ever find a homeless guy that looks just like you, I mean, you could basically get away with anything.
If I could put on 6-inch platform shoes and pretend to be you.
Yeah, you could.
Other than the height difference, I've had several people tell me that we look like brothers almost. We have the salt and pepper.
Yeah.
I guess it's salt and cinnamon.
Salt and cinnamon.
Salt
yum.
and sugar. Salt and sugar beards. You know what I mean?
Oh, sugar's better.
We do look rather alike.
Yeah.
So other than the height, but brothers could have a height difference.
Salt and sugar. Instead of salt and pepper, we'll start a band called Salt and Sugar. Sugar.
Yeah, it's got to be SHUGAH.
Oh, yeah?
For the kids these days. They don't
It's
like
gotta
shit
be
that's
spelled wrong.
Yeah, it's got to be spelled wrong. Then it's cool.
It'll take off.
It's edgy.
It is edgy. Illiteracy is edgy.
Illiteracy is edgy. That's Ivan's new quote. After scramble eggs, not jets.
That's
Illiteracy is edgy.
That's right.
He's a Confucius, he is. The Confucius of podcasting.
That's right.
Meanwhile, the people of Texarkana were waiting for the Phantom to strike again. It had been exactly 21 days between the murders of Richard Griffin and Polly Ann Moore and the murders of Paul Martin and Betty Jo Booker. So the public and the police expected that pattern to repeat.
Mm-hmm.
They were pretty much saying 21 days from now, we're going to have some more killings.
Next full moon.
Yeah, it was close.
Yeah.
3 weeks from the latest murders would place the next attack around May 3rd or 4th. And guess what?
No murders?
Hell no, they were right.
Oh, they were right.
There were more murders.
Oh, man.
Yes.
I thought they missed one, but
Nope.
it's not. Wow.
It was right on schedule, but the only thing that threw it off this time was that instead of it being out on a lover's lane, it was in someone's house.
Oh, okay.
He
That's
switched
right.
it up.
That's right.
There's a small camp that says that, that wasn't the Phantom Killer because it was a different MO. He wasn't on a lover's lane. Guess what? Every lover's lane in and around Texarkana was festering with cops and mannequins and shit, pretending to be teenagers falling in love and whatnot. He had to change shit up.
Yeah. Yeah.
He would have been silly to go back out to a lover's lane at that point.
I mean, what's he going to do? Drive around and not see anyone and be like, oh, well, I guess my streak's over.
No killings. No, that's when he's like, you got to think on your feet, Johnny. We got to move to a different hunting ground.
Ooh, that's what you said earlier.
Yeah. Virgil and Katy Starks had just celebrated their 14th wedding anniversary. He had just turned 37 on April 3rd, and she was turning 37 a few months later, so they were, virtually the same age. Virgil and Katy had both grown up in the Red Springs community just outside of Texarkana, and they'd known each other since elementary school. By May of 1946, the Starks were living and working on a farm about 10 miles outside of Texarkana on the Arkansas side. So out of all the murders that have taken place so far, these two that we're coming up on, they're the only two that actually took place in Arkansas. So listen, the Starks, they've got no kids.
Okay.
But Virgil kept busy tending their 500-acre farm and working in his welding shop, while Katy tended the house and the garden.
Oh, man, I hate this already.
I know, dude. It's like so picturesque.
Yeah.
They'd been there about 5 years and had worked hard and made a comfortable living. Back then, most rural homes did not have electricity, but the Starks did have electricity. They'd even had a telephone installed, a rare thing back then, especially like in a rural farmhouse.
Mm-hmm.
The house was right off Highway 67, which was a busy road even back in the 40s. It was a main highway connecting Texarkana to Little Rock and was also used by folks traveling to Dallas. However, the house set back off the road about 100 feet, and just one side was visible, so it was sort of still like halfway private.
Sure.
Friday, May 3rd, 1946. Oh, shit. Here we go. Oh, man, when Joey reads the exact dates, that's when something's about to happen.
Yeah.
I figured out.
You never say, not much happened this day.
No. That's our northern listeners that, he just read the date that something's about to happen. He just read the day and the time and the day. That's when someone's about to die. There's never been a time when it was just like nothing happened, like Ivan said.
Yeah.
Something's about to happen.
Something is.
That was a typical day for the Starks. All right. But the next day, no, I'm just kidding.
You did it.
Virgil had worked out on the farm for most of that day, and around dark, he'd come into the house for supper.
Okay.
What could be more red, white, and blue cherry pie, green, and what is it? Green
fried
and yellow.
Green
John
tomatoes.
Deere tractor, fried green tomatoes, blue oval Ford, 1946 Ford pickup parked out there. It's the most American thing I've ever seen in my life.
It is.
It is picturesque. It's a Norman Rockwell painting. It's about to turn into a Van Gogh painting or something. I don't know. Let's try to come up with something cool.
I like the whole The whole thing I love. The attempt is awesome.
The attempt.
You're like, I want to find something. And
You failed with the attempt.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. It's F for effort. No, it's A for effort.
Screw you, man.
A for effort, man.
You do this shit. No, I'm just kidding.
A graphic novel.
Stephen King is what I should have said.
There we go.
But he wasn't a painter. After eating supper, Virgil retired to his faithful recliner.
Oh, man.
Sitting in my faithful recliner, and there wasn't really much TV back then, so you know what he did? He propped back and turned on the radio.
Cool.
People just sat around listening to the radio back then. I mean, they do now too, but they didn't have a TV. So his back had been giving him fits lately, so he plugged in a heating pad and he tried to relax for a while. He turned on the radio and opened up the Texarkana Gazette. Ironically, he and Katy had kept close tabs on the Phantom Killer story. After putting up the dishes, Katy changed into her nightgown. Oh, no, I'm just kidding. It was just nightgown. And she got ready for bed. It was getting close to 9, and farm families, they turn in early. So as she lay down, she thought she heard a noise outside the house, maybe like a rustling in the bushes, right? She said, Virgil, turn down the radio. I think I hear something outside. Whether or not he ever heard her will forever be a mystery, because just then, 2 shots rang out and the window behind Virgil's chair shattered. So as his recliner is seated, there was a wall behind him with a big picture window right behind him. His newspaper fell to the floor and his head slumped forward. He never made a sound. From where she was seated in the bedroom, 2 rooms away, Katy just thought that Virgil had knocked something over. When she walked into the living room to see what the matter was, she discovered Virgil drooped forward in his chair, blood pooling on his lap and in the chair. Katy lifted up Virgil's head to see if he was alive. His eyes were opened and blank. He was not. It was then that she noticed the 2 bullet holes through the window behind Virgil's chair. She studied them for a moment. The reality of what had just happened, understandably, was taking a second to sink in. Remember, like, you wouldn't automatically go to, there's a maniac outside your house shooting in.
And this was like seconds later, right?
Seconds.
Okay.
It's like she hears
Which
like,
I'm totally freaked out. I'm like, get down.
I know. So she's sitting in, just picture her, she's sitting in the other room. She hears like a little bit of glass breaking and a thud or something. What the hell? And she walks in and she's trying to piece this together. She sees he's bloody. What? And she sees the window behind and she's still processing.
No, it'd take you a minute.
There's 2 holes in the window.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't, I wouldn't.
No, it'd take you. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Well, especially in the 40s.
Sure.
Of course. Yeah. Well, what she didn't know was as she was studying those small holes in the window pane, Virgil's killer was standing on the other side, not 2 feet away, staring back at her.
Wow, that's crazy.
Because of the brightly lit living room and the darkness outside, all she had seen was her own splintered reflection in the spiderweb glass, so she wouldn't have been able to see him.
Yeah, that's the first thing when I think something could be outside. Kill all the lights.
Yeah.
It's like I have my window that I go to look out in the backyard. I've never seen anything yet except for like a skunk or something. But when I think somebody could be out there, kill the lights, and I go to my little special viewing window.
What Ivan didn't know was there was a skunk staring back at him 2 feet away.
That's right.
Locked and loaded.
Yeah, that's right. Ready to spray.
Katy quickly whirled around and raced to the hand crank telephone. So this was the wooden box.
Sure.
On the wall that you picked the receiver up, held it to your ear, and then the mouthpiece was on the box.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then you didn't dial, you hit a number, and then the operator would answer, and you would tell her, you need extension 245 or whatever. That's what we're dealing with.
Wow.
Well, as she did this, she was trying to call the operator. The killer raised his weapon to aim. As she reached the phone and went to grab the receiver, 2 more shots punctured that window. 1 bullet entered her face next to her nose and exited behind her ear.
Woo.
On the same side.
Golly.
The second entered her jaw just below her bottom lip and she fell to the floor. I'm going to tell you
She's
now.
Like, I hate to say it, I don't want to call her lucky.
Well,
but I think she's going to be lucky for falling.
Katy Starks was one tough broad.
Okay.
I will tell you that right now. We'll
Is that how we know all this whole account?
Yeah, I was going to say, when he was telling us, I was like, she's got to live.
Yeah.
Or else we wouldn't know any of this.
Right.
Yeah. She realized with terror that whoever had just killed her husband had not fled, but had remained there and was now trying to kill her. While bleeding profusely from her face and spitting out teeth, she began to army crawl across the floor. Virgil kept a .45 pistol in one of the dresser drawers, but which one? As she struggled, she heard heavy footsteps bound up on the porch, followed by the back door shaking. Ironically, thanks to all the hubbub about the phantom killer, the Starks had started to lock that door.
Oh, wow.
Otherwise, it would have been open.
job.
Yeah. Seconds later, she heard rustling outside another room, followed by sounds of a screen ripping and the window opening. She peeked into the room just as the man hoisted his leg through the window. He was in the house now. She was already weak from blood loss, but Katy knew if she didn't run, she'd be dead within a minute. So she stood up, bolted through several rooms in the house, and burst out the front door. There were a few houses nearby. The closest belonged to her sister, who was married to a guy named Jeff Allen. Her sister's name was Betty. So Betty and Jeff Allen lived about 200 yards away across the highway. The second closest belonged to the Prater family and was about another 50 yards further than that. So, running on bare feet and dressed only in a blood-soaked nightgown, Katy dashed across the highway for her sister's house. She hadn't put eyes on the killer since his leg came through that window. Was he behind her? Was he about to shoot her again? Katy didn't even look up and continued to scramble for her sister's house. Imagine running through the darkness. And
I'm there. I'm already there.
For all you know, there's going to be another.
Yeah.
And you're going to.
Any second. Yeah.
God.
Whew.
So she reaches her sister's house and is beating the hell out of that door. There were no answers from that house. And she noticed, after her panic calmed down a little bit, she's like, there's not a single light on in this house. So no one was home at her sister's house. Wasting no time, Katy left off that porch and raced for the Prater's house. Remember, I said it was about 50 yards further away. They had a porch light on. So when Katy pounded on that door, A.V. Prater opened it immediately. He knew the Starks well and was mortified by what he was greeted with. Katy, still spurting blood from her face and drenched as well, through a broken jaw and busted teeth, managed to croak out, "Please help me." Mr. Prater ran and fetched another neighbor, a guy named Elmer Taylor, and the pair rushed Katy to the Michael Meager Hospital in Texarkana. In a testament to how cool a head Katy had managed to keep throughout the entire ordeal, she had actually saved one of her teeth. Remember earlier I said she was spitting out teeth? One of her teeth had a gold filling in it. She was like, oh, want to keep that one.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
Yeah, she literally paused for enough time to collect the gold-filled tooth, because that was, a lot of money.
That's crazy.
So on the way there, she was like, Elmer, the guy that was driving, the neighbor, she handed it to him and said, "Would you please hold on to this for me until I get out of the hospital?" So Katy Starks was a tough broad. The doctors called it a miracle. She should have bled to death, but didn't. In fact, her pulse was almost normal when she got to the hospital, despite the massive blood loss. They found from the second bullet, it was lodged under her tongue. The one that entered her jaw?
Oh.
It was lodged under her tongue. She shouldn't have been able to even speak, but yes, yet she still could. She defied every odd there was and would go on to make a full recovery.
That's crazy.
So, Katy Starks, true badass.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah.
As long as we've done this podcast, this is like one of the most riveting segments for me. That whole thing
Yeah, man.
is crazy. I'm like just sitting here. I don't know. I can't even put it into words.
Yeah.
And it's not good because it's a podcast. But you know what I mean? It's like the whole running and it's just crazy. Like, I don't know. It's just totally, it's like, haha, Phantom Killer. Idiot.
Yeah.
Obviously, he was an accomplished killer, but he
Well,
got bested by a tough old country lady,
a lot of people say that he was like this genius. I think he was a total dumbass that was just really lucky several times.
Yeah, I mean, if you got the drop on people, I mean, you're going to be able to walk up to a house and
Of course.
people are just living their life. I mean, you're not a genius to be able to get the drop on somebody like that.
Or in a lover's lane.
Or on a lover's lane. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
He was an idiot who just got super lucky.
Man, I want to know where this house was. I don't care if it's still there or not. I guarantee it's not. But I want to know like what's there in that area and everything. Like I want to know everything about it.
I'll research that and see if I can actually find a place, an exact, location.
Yeah, when did it say she died? Sam found her.
You can find her.
grave.
It was way later.
July 3rd, 1994.
Wow, awesome.
Yeah, I have that in here later. But yeah, man, she lived like another 30, almost 28 years.
Where's she buried at?
She was 84. She's buried in Texarkana.
Oh, wow.
At Hillcrest Cemetery.
Quiet your mind.
So troopers Tackett and Boyd were the closest to the Starks residence when the call came out, and they were the first to arrive on the scene. They were the closest because they'd just driven by the Starks' home not long before.
Wow.
This is crazy. In fact, they'd probably driven by just after the attacks, but before Katy had run out of the house.
Oh, in that window?
Yes, this is why they think that. They had noticed an older model car sitting near the home as they passed by that night.
Oh, so they got an ID on a vehicle.
Sort of. They really didn't pay attention to it. They just knew it was an older model car, and they knew when they got the call and went back, it was gone. So from that day forward, they were, especially Tackett, was always like, you know what? That was the dude's car. Guarantee, because it was a little ways down, enough, where he could park it down the road and walk through the corn or whatever and get to the farmhouse.
Man.
Both men were convinced they'd seen the killer's vehicle. Tackett and Boyd began to rope off the scene and collect evidence. Soon after, Sheriff L.V. Davis, Chief Deputy Tillman Johnson, and Deputy Bill Scott, they all arrived on the scene. All of the couple's money and valuables were still present as far as they knew, so robbery did not appear to be a motive. There wasn't enough tape, so old phone cord was used to stretch around the area. It was, at least they had learned, from some of the previous.
Sure, yeah. Secure the site, yeah. Yeah.
It was all for naught. Before long, a flood of officers and rubberneckers descended on the home, and according to Tackett, he quoted, stomped out all the damn possible evidence.
Yeah.
So again, here we go. Thankfully, there was some left, though, a little bit. There were 3 empty shells from a .22 caliber weapon, later determined to more than likely be a Colt Woodsman .22 semi-automatic rifle.
Okay.
Just so we bring people up to speed, the previous murders, the 2 double murders in the last episode, were done with a .32 caliber weapon. And some people are like, well, this one wasn't the Phantom. Oh, no, someone can't own 2 guns. You're right. Let's discredit him from this forever. Jesus.
It's much more likely that it was the same person and that with a different gun, I would think, probabilistically.
Me too, right? I don't know. Also, there was a red and black flashlight left in the dirt where the killer was standing when he'd shot the couple outside the window. He dropped this flashlight. And remember, I think this was the flashlight, because if we go back to the last episode, it's the Lover's Lane couples.
Mm-hmm.
What was the #1 deal? Boom. They were blinded with a flashlight.
Yeah. Did it hold it like that? You held it up like it.
I'm guessing like a cop or something. That's how I visualize it.
That's how they solved it. Crime. I've talked about it on here before.
Really?
Yeah, that's how they knew. It was a Golden State Killer. Didn't he have a law enforcement?
He did.
Background?
He did.
Yeah, that was one way they early on they were like saying it might have been law enforcement.
Because a lot of times they hold the flash like that with the gun.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Some training. Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of cool.
Well, finally, the killer had left a footprint in the Starks' blood as he walked through the house.
See, that's the eerie part to me, that he walked through the house.
Dude.
I don't know what it is. I mean, the murder obviously is the eerie part, but just like someone in your house like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that, I don't know what it is about it. I mean, you guys could probably pinpoint it. I've thought about this before on crime cases. Like the fact that they're just roaming around in your house. Like, and it's killer,
that is creepy. Some stranger.
Yeah.
Just some person.
Yeah.
And to think that he's walking by, this dead body, this person he just killed.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. I just wonder how long he stayed. I mean, it couldn't have been for very long, but.
Well, it's funny you say that, because according to the police, judging by the footprints, whoever the killer was, he had stopped and stood to look at Virgil for at least a minute or two. Because the footprints came up and just turned, And he just kind of like surveyed his work
Yeah.
a little while.
So it's good for Katy. He didn't chase her. He was, yeah.
Exactly. The very next sentence, it was because of this pause of him to admire his work. That's why Katy had been able to escape. Yep. It appeared the killer wore about a size 10 shoe. Traces of the prints showed the killer had first gone to the welding shop to have a look around before heading into the house. Then more prints were found leading away from the house and nearly 200 yards down the side of the highway, where they cut across a freshly plowed field to where Tackett and Boyd had spotted that old car when they drove by.
So it was his.
Totally was.
Yeah.
They saw the son of a bitch's car. It's a crazy deal. There they found tire tracks that turned around and headed back to the highway. At the mouth of the dirt road, they appeared to have turned in from the direction of Texarkana. Where they went from there is a mystery. So they really couldn't tell.
Yeah.
Now, roadblocks had been set up at both ends of Highway 67 leading away from the Starks farm, and a slew of officers fanned out to question every person in every home in the area. The attitude at the time was it was better to haul in an innocent man than to be too polite and possibly let the killer slip by. So right away, dozens of people were taken in to be questioned. Bloodhounds were brought in to canvass the area around the farm. As more and more officers arrived from different departments, the largest manhunt in that entire region up to that date got underway. In the coming days and weeks, each piece of evidence found that night seemed to fall on its face. So there was linoleum, the footprints walking through the kitchen and stuff. That linoleum bearing those footprints was cut out and sent to the crime lab, but the print was sloppy and could not provide a definitive make or type. So that one's gone. The other footprints found in the soil had been preserved in plaster, but again, due to the mud, because it had rained recently, I think earlier that day, they were also too sloppy to determine an exact type of print. Like I said, this guy was not a genius. He was just dumb shit lucky.
I think so.
Many times over.
Well, even though if he had the boot make, doesn't mean. But yeah, I think he was lucky. You're right.
So the flashlight, remember that?
Mm-hmm.
It yielded no fingerprints, not even on the batteries. So I do have to say he was smart enough to, even when he put in the batteries in the damn thing, he had apparently wore gloves or wiped them down or something.
Sure.
There was not a single print.
Yeah.
So this was a rare flashlight, and it was only sold in one store in all of Texarkana, but the owner did not remember who had bought it. Of course, why would you?
Yeah, there's no reason why you would.
In an effort to get some help from the public, a photograph of the flashlight was published on the front page of the Texarkana Gazette to see if anyone recognized it. By the way, it was not only a color photograph, it was the first spot color photograph published in any newspaper in the United States.
What?
Yes. This case, the picture of that photograph, which I put a T on the end of, photographed, who knows. When they put the picture of that in the Texarkana Gazette, it was the first color photo, spot color photo in any newspaper in the U.S.
Wow.
1946.
Yeah.
That's what I read.
Wow. Impressive.
Under the picture was printed, quote,
"Look at this photo." No, I'm sorry. Sorry. I don't know why I did that. Keep going.
My God. Look at this photograph. It's of a flashlight that was left at the scene of a horrific murder. The hell is that on Joey's head? You started it.
I'm sorry. I don't know why I did that. I don't know why.
So it said, quote, "Have you seen this 2-cell flashlight? This is a picture in detail." This is still quoting.
Oh.
"This is a picture in detail of the flashlight found at the scene of the Starks murder. This is a 2-cell, all-metal flashlight, both ends of which are painted red. 3 rivets hold the head of the flashlight to the body of the light. There has been only a limited number of these flashlights sold in the area. If you have owned or know anyone who has owned one of these flashlights, report at once to Sheriff W.E. Davis, Miller County."
Because if we find the owner of that flashlight, you know the rest.
Exactly. And it ended by saying, "You may be the one to aid in solving the phantom slayings."
Yep.
Well, of course, nothing came of that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough.
Mm-hmm. With the death of Virgil Starks and the attack on Katy, every law enforcement agency sent even more officers to Texarkana. Arkansas patrols, Texas Rangers, FBI agents, you name it. Everyone had theories, but the evidence was all over the place. Nothing was missing. So the killer didn't seem to come there to rob the place. But why did he snoop around the welding shop before? That doesn't make sense.
Because it could, maybe.
I guess. Why does anyone do anything?
Yeah.
We've said that before. Not many rural folks had phones, and the ones who did were well known because other neighbors would often ask to use their phones. If the killer was a local and knew they had a phone, why hadn't he cut the phone line? Or was he not a local? Right?
Yeah.
These are just questions.
True. I have a theory about the welding shop, though.
Sure.
Like, if the guy had been working in there, he could have tried to maybe be there when the guy was there so he could kill him in there and then have his way with the wife.
That makes sense.
I don't know what time, how late that guy would work in his welding shop.
So you're saying maybe
Check there
Virgil
first.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
Maybe he worked out there later most
Yeah.
times.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just an idea.
Well, that would fit the Phantom MO because what did he do every other
Yep.
time? He killed the guy first.
Incapacitate the man.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Anyway.
Very good. We're getting good at this shit. Was this a copycat killing? If it all was the Phantom, why'd he switch from a 32 to a 22 caliber weapon? Who knows? I don't know. Whatever the answers to these questions are, it was eventually accepted that all the attacks, that's the beatings of Jimmy Hollis and Mary Jean Larry, the murders of Richard Griffin, Polly Ann Moore, Paul Martin, Betty Jo Booker, Virgil Starks, and the shooting of Katy Starks were attributed to one assailant, and of course that is the Phantom Killer.
Well, it's probably a good thing he used a 22 for Katy. That is,
Oh, yeah. For her. Yeah.
Yeah.
If
bit
that would have been a
smaller caliber.
45, she's not living.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And
Or
maybe
even a
even a 32.
She's not living.
Yeah.
No way.
I agree with that.
Well, yeah, anyway, yeah, that's it. There's still a lot left to this story. And of course, we're going to get to that on part 4.
Yeah. Man, it's going to be hard for you to beat this one just as far as it'll be a great episode. Don't get me wrong. But man, I got to go back to I've never been so stirred by painting images in my head. And I don't know. It's like I was watching a super awesome, scary movie that ends up being a real life thing. And her picture's still up. Sam still got her picture up. She lived until 94. She died around the same area. So it's almost like, in a way, I don't know, or from anyone, but it's almost like she's like, well, I lived through that. I'm not going to move away.
Right.
I mean, yeah, right there. Birth, Bowie County, Texas. Death, Bowie County, Texas. Burial, Bowie County, Texas.
Right. Because who was it? Mary Jean Larry,
Mhm.
the beating victim. She took off. Of course, I don't blame her for taking off.
Nowhere,
but-
Oklahoma.
Yeah. Frederick,
Yeah.
Oklahoma. Right.
But even her, she went back to
She
help.
did.
Yeah. To ID and talk to the cops. So that was pretty awesome.
Yeah. People were tough back then. I mean, people can be tough now, but it just seems like
Yeah.
they were tougher back then.
Yeah. Anyway, great one, Joe. Nice job.
Thanks. So yeah, guys, there's still a lot more to this story. Like I said, there's at least going to be, I've got part 4 finished in the books,
Okay.
but there's still a lot more left. So there's at least going to be a part 5 or 6. So
Okay. Yeah.
buckle on in for that. This is going to be a long one.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks. Great episode, Joe. Sam, thanks for everything that you do. He's shaking his head over.
I know there's a lot of innuendos going on up in here
It's all right.
in Redbeard Sound Studios.
I just, like Elsa, I let it go.
Yeah. So thank you everyone out there for listening to us once again, and whoever listened on whatever, and whoever watched us on YouTube's.
Go to YouTube and give us some subs. We just need a few more to reach our goal.
Yeah.
That's the only PBS telethon thing I'll ever do.
We need to put in phones ringing behind you.
Exactly. The Donna Metz telethon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, yeah, thank y'all again for listening, and we will catch you on the next one. Good night.
Good night.
Let me tell you about some fellas I know, named Ivan, Sam, and Joe. They got themselves a little podcast, And they talk about everything under the sun that they find interesting, spooky, or fun. And they sure ain't trying to impress no one. The remedy to too much time on your answers. Take a little listen to the dawn of Mantis.
talk about killers, monsters, and cults. French mates from hell, disappeared folks. Occasionally throw in a few dad jokes. They try to make every story extra nice by adding their own ginger spice. Not one time or two, but thrice. The remedy to too much time on your hands is take a little listen to the dawn of Manti. Now I'm sure these fellas will be around for quite a spell, 'cause there sure ain't no shortage of stories to tell. 'Cause this old world's as weird as hell. But hell, even if nobody listened, you know they'd maintain a fine disposition, 'cause shooting the breeze is kind of their mission. The remedy to too much time on your hands is take a little listen to the dawn of Manti. The remedy to too much time on your hands is take a little listen to the dawn of Manti.